Welcome to Small Business Saturdays video series with your host and my husband.
And my dad, Aaron Montgomery.
Join the conversation.
Let's talk some business.
All right. Welcome into Small Business Saturday. My name is Aaron Montgomery, and you can find me at oursuccessgroup.com. So how's everybody doing today on this wonderful Saturday? Hopefully everybody is doing well. We are into the final week of our 13-week program on the fundamentals of business success. And we're kind of wrapping up that roadmap. We've installed all of the fundamentals that we need if we've been following along for the last 13 weeks. This will be week 13 here. So my question for you guys is, how have you been putting these fundamentals to work in your business? What things have stood out for you? And, so far, what has made the biggest difference for you? So, with that being said, I want to go ahead and recap and go through where we've been over the last 12 weeks, 13 weeks today. And then, like I said, I'm interested to know what have you been putting into work for you? What things stand out for you? What things have made the biggest difference for you? So I'm very curious. I'd like to know. So go ahead and share that with me. If you are listening to the podcast version, you can just reach out at success@oursuccessgroup.com, or you can hit me up over on Volley. If you go to osg.link/Volley and let me know over there, that would be cool too. So, any of the channels, Success Principles Random, we can talk about it wherever you'd like over there at osg.link/Volley. So check that out. And so, yeah, like I said, let's recap here, and let's get the right. There we go. Okay, I want to recap for us here the 13 fundamentals of success here. So, number one is empower yourself. This is where we talked about the fact that it's your life and you shouldn't be giving away your power by blaming, complaining, and making excuses. That if we take 100% responsibility for our lives and for our success, we take our power back. We don't give it away to anybody else anymore. So we talked about the formula E plus R equals O, meaning the event, the thing we have no control over, whatever happens, somebody cut you off in traffic, the situation, whatever, plus your response will equal the outcome. So the outcome is what we get to determine, but the only thing we can control in that equation is the R, our response to it. So if we get cut off in traffic, our response could be to get upset, flip somebody off, yell, scream, get our heart rate up, or we could do something like maybe have empathy for them. Go, gosh, they're really not paying attention. I hope they're okay. Hope everything's good in their world. And guess how your outcome is going to be, how you're going to feel at the end of that, right? So that was number one, empower yourself. Number two was find your purpose. We want to live inside of our significance. We need to understand what we're put on this earth to do. And each and every one of us has a purpose, has a significant impact that we can make on the world. And it doesn't have to be world changing. When we say make an impact on the world, it can be make an impact on your local community. It could be make an impact on your family. But everybody has a purpose, and we need to do some work to find that purpose. We need to kind of spend some time understanding that and trying to get close as we can to that. And that way we know what we need to be doing and how we need to be living our lives and running our businesses and all that kind of fun stuff. So we talked about that. Week number 3, we got into decide what you desire. Right? This is talking about the wants and the fact that a lot of times we feel like if we have wants and these things that we're being selfish or, we shouldn't want to or anything like that. But ultimately what we've determined is wants are actually the roadmap for what we're meant to do. So the things you want in life, those desires are only there because of that's what you were meant to do. Right. So once you get over some of the superficial stuff, once you get deep down into what you really want out of life and what you really want out of your business, those really are the roadmap for what you're meant to be. So we need to get clear on that, right? What do we want our businesses to do? What kind of impact do we want them to make? Where do we want to go? What do we want to be? All that kind of stuff. So that was week number 3. Week number 4, we talked about reigniting self-trust. So we have to make it possible by first believing in ourselves. So really kind of understanding that the person we spend the most time with in the whole wide world is ourselves. And we have to change that inner critic into an inner coach. We have to change the language that we're using in our head and with ourselves. So doing things like affirmations and whatnot. So we actually are going to talk about that a little bit more today. In the 5th week, we were working on being a goal getter. And we basically were talking about how we could use the law of attraction to put that to work for us to get us closer to our goals, and not only just be a goal setter, but a goal getter, somebody that is actually achieving their goals, and what are the steps to doing that. So we had to make sure that our goals had how much and by when, and then going from there. So that was week 5. Week 6, we talked about taking productive actions, basically getting to the point of we want to spend most of our time moving towards what we want. We need to be focused. We need to have priorities. We need to set those things in motion, and again, go back to empowering ourselves and being the one that chooses what actions that we're taking and doing. So that was number 6, the 6th week. In the 7th week, we talked about be willing to do the work. Practice, 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 showing up, being persistent, building that momentum, repeating, and just practicing constant, never-ending improvements. So that's being willing to do the work, right? You've got to show up. You've got to be there. You've got to take the action. So that was week number 7. Week number 8 was mastermind your way to success, where we talked about working with a group of 2 or more people to raise the tide, and just the power of the mastermind. And when done correctly, I even gave you the formula so you could set up your own mastermind if you want. We talked about what we do inside of the Masters of Success group, so you don't have to do all that. You can just come join us, right? So, but there's a very specific formula that works when it comes to masterminding, and so we shared that. Then we got into week number 9, and that was where we talked about conquering fear and thriving, and just really kind of feeling the fear and doing it anyways. And then I shared with you my art of success and how that works, where it's a flywheel, where we're starting to build momentum by, just leaning into it, just feeling that fear and going for it anyways. And then in week 10, we talked about surrounding yourself with success, and things like avoiding toxic people, avoiding toxic locations, right? It's one thing to be up to date on the news. It's another thing to get caught up in the constant news cycle and all of the opinions, and the sky is falling, and all of those negative things that are out there. So we need to avoid that. We need to make sure that we're intentionally spending time around people and things that are going to actually lift us up. Right. And so, if you're spending a lot of time with a lot of people that are blaming, complaining, making excuses, commiserating, always woe is me, then you need to, make those tough decisions and say, okay, that's fine. Right. Maybe it's somebody I like, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a family member, and that's okay. But I'm just going to limit my time. And as soon as they get into that blaming, complaining, excuse making, commiserating, then I'm going to not be a part of it. I'm not going to continue to drag that down, right? I'm going to start my conversations by how do we find solutions? So that was number 10, surrounding yourself with success. Number 11, we talked about feedback being the key. That was week 11 there, a couple of weeks ago. And that really all feedback is a learning opportunity, and it pays to ask for it. It pays to really be looking for it. How do we get more feedback? How do we read the feedback and the clues that are in front of us that we might not even recognize, right? So if you run a Facebook ad and nobody clicks on it, then that's feedback, right? If nobody's going to your website, or if people are going to your website but they're not buying, that is feedback. But that feedback then has to be taken and used to make adjustments, make changes, to figure out how we can improve, right? So what's stopping somebody from buying if they're coming to your website and they're not making a purchase, that kind of thing. So that was week 11. Last week, we talked about tracking success, basically measuring what we want and removing what we don't, and really focusing on how do we keep score, right? Score tracking, all that stuff that motivates us to do more. So how do we set up a system that will allow us to keep track easily without it being too difficult? So we had a formula in there about, looking for metrics inside of your business that are going to actually move the needle forward, really focusing on what's in it for your customers and how can we track that data and going from there. So that was last week. This week, we are going to get into this final week here. We're going to get into daily habits, right? These are slight marginal improvements. I actually call them margins. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later here. And understanding that those daily habits, those margins, they add up faster than we realize. So the more we can focus on what we're doing daily, the better off we're going to be. I think, there is something to be said. Obviously, you guys know that I'm a big planning type guy, right? I want to look to the future. I love looking at the 3,000-foot view, the big vision, that type of thing. But I know the reality is the rubber really meets the road in the things that I do daily, the actions that I take daily inside of my business, inside of my life, all of that stuff. So that's what we're going to talk about here today. And again, my question for you guys is, of these 12 so far, 13 here today, which ones stand out to you the most? Have you put any of these things into action? Have you found anything to work, not work, any feedback at all that you guys have about these last 12 weeks? Maybe you didn't catch them all, and that's okay. Which ones stood out to you? You can go back into liveosg.com and you can see all of them and check them all out, I believe, there. So getting into that. So while you guys are doing that, I want to just real quick, because we've got the Unlocking Your Potential workshop happening tomorrow. And I want to just share that with you guys really quick before we move into talking about daily habits here. So let me get that banner off the screen. Okay, so here's just a really quick, short, little 60-second discussion that Kylene and I had about the Unlocking Your Potential workshop happening tomorrow.
Hi, I'm Kylene.
And I'm Aaron from our Success Group.
We understand that feeling of knowing something is holding you back.
Are you watching others succeed and wondering what they have that you don't? There's a secret locked away inside of each of us, yet we never think about fixing it because it has to be something external from ourselves. It is the limiting belief that everyone wants to just push aside and try to hustle and grind harder to get there. But the truth is, those limiting beliefs are keeping you from asking for help or doing the action needed to move your business forward.
The sooner you can identify what's holding you back, the sooner you will start achieving your goals. Head on over to oursuccessgroup.com/unlock and click the turquoise button, Learn the Magic to Unlock Your Potential. We hope you make this investment in yourself and unlock your potential so you can find more meaning and success in your life.
All right. Well, check that out. Like I said, tomorrow is the next one we have. We do them every month. So if tomorrow doesn't work for you, feel free to check out what's going on over there at oursuccessgroup.com/unlock. I was trying to read something else at the same time. Sorry about that. oursuccessgroup.com/unlock. And you can see different dates down the road, see a little bit about what's going on. But you know what? Just try it out. It's 60 minutes of your life. It's a very small investment. And, who knows, right? It may not be for you, but I thought that for 2 years. This just wasn't for me. Oh, meditation, weird, right? No, it's actually really easy, but you just have to be willing to play full out, right? You have to be open to it. You have to come in with an open mind. And so come just check it out. Here's a little secret that we don't tell people until after they sign up, but I'm going to tell you guys because you spent the time to be with me here this morning. Once you've signed up once, you get an invite to show up anytime you want. You've unlocked this for the rest of the time that we do it, right? So you're always going to be available to come back to any other times. And a lot of times you'll find that when you come back, you actually get more out of it because now you've taken away the scary part of it and you've survived, right? So just check it out. Just sign up for it. Once you've signed up, you're always invited back. Plus, you're going to get the tools that you can then use this on your own without anybody else around, without myself or Kylene, or you've got the meditation, the whole thing that you can listen to. You've got the worksheet that you can use. You've got all the tools to be able to rewrite your own stories after the fact. So oursuccessgroup.com/unlock, and that will be happening tomorrow. I believe it's about 11 a.m. Central Time. So All right. Well, I'm still waiting for you guys to tell me. I'm still waiting for your feedback on, of these 13 weeks of the fundamentals of the 12 weeks we've been through so far, what has stood out to you? What have you put into action for yourself? Which things have you spent some time on? What things stand out to you? What things have worked for you? So I'm waiting patiently here, somewhat patiently. No, I will wait patiently here, but I'm waiting for that. What have you guys put into effect so far? We just walked through all 13 weeks again. Empower yourself, find your purpose, decide what you desire, reignite self-trust, be a goal getter, take productive action, be willing to do the work, mastermind your way to success, conquer fear and thrive, surround yourself with success. Feedback is the key, track success. And now today we're going to talk about daily habits. So I'm looking over there because I have these listed all sorts of places, so I see them. So they're in front of me all the time. So I'm always thinking about putting these things into action for myself. So I want to know, for you guys, what have you put into action for yourself? So you guys do that. Like I said, I'm kind of patiently waiting before I get into this here. I need somebody to jump in and be the one who's going to take action. Who's going to take action here? So we've got Facebook user. Good morning. Thanks for joining us here this morning, Facebook user. It just doesn't tell us. Unfortunately, Facebook and StreamYard don't always play together nicely. So if you'd like us to know who you are, just head over to oursuccess.group/Facebook. I know you may have done it already, and it's just one of those things. Facebook resets this all the time. So oursuccessgroup.com/Facebook to get unlocked there, so to speak. All right. So I appreciate everybody tuning in and say good morning, but I'm still waiting to hear which of these 12 that we've worked on so far have stood out the most to you, which has been most impactful. Have you done anything with it? And it's, you know what? It's okay to just say, nope, I haven't done anything with it. You know, right? That's an action. You've taken an action. So I'm just looking for somebody to take an action so we can get into today. At being 17 minutes in already, we might go a little bit longer today. So who's ready? There we go. Craig is working on an Equid site. Excellent. Great job, Craig. So what about the fundamentals of business success? What things have stood out to you, Craig? So that's a nut and bolt, and that's great. Working on a Facebook, an Equid site is excellent, but without a good foundation, and we're going to talk about that a little bit here today, some of that stuff might not really add up all that quickly for you. So excellent. Here we go. So thank you. Todd has helped me so much, and I'm more confident in my pricing and so much more motivated to get to work and get things done. Awesome. Thank you. I'm going to take a guess here because, again, I can't see it on my side yet, but my guess is that is Tanika. So Tanika, I cannot wait to meet you. I'm really looking forward to Monday. Hopefully you've gotten my emails. If you have not, please check your spam folder or shoot me an email at success@oursuccessgroup.com. I need to get you details about Monday, but I need to hear back from you. So awesome. Appreciate that. So what about the fundamentals of business success? What have you guys, what has stood out to you? Dean says, I've only seen a few, but I have gone way out of my comfort zone. Dean, that is awesome. That's exactly it, right? So we got to push ourselves outside of our comfort zone. That was conquer fear and thrive. We got to get over those fears. That the comfort zone is fine, right? There's no I have no problem with a comfort zone, right? We need to, I don't want to live on this adrenaline fueled jumping off cliffs all the time world. Personally, my heart can't take it, right? I need to have my comfort zone, but every once in a while, I've got to make sure that I'm pushing outside of it, because I know that what I really want, that success is right outside of that comfort zone. So I just need to keep poking at it. I need to keep pushing at it. And Dean has gone way out of his comfort zone and done some amazing things. So I'm really proud to call Dean a friend. And it's really great to see all the things that he's doing in his business. And then even better, then he shares, right? He shares all that inside with the Masters of Success, with the OSG community. And so people are gaining that knowledge from him too. And that's so cool. That's what our success group was created for, is to kind of build that up, and people like Dean just embody that. So thank you, Dean. Appreciate that. In fact, I didn't put that up on the screen, but there we go. So everybody else can see it there. All right. So what else? Anything else that stands out for you guys from the last 12 weeks here? What's worked? What's really kind of made a difference? What have you implemented? What have you worked on? You know, what doesn't make sense, or anything, right? And continued feedback here. So I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys and learning from you. But Dean broke the ice for us, so I will go ahead and get into this. But I will keep an eye on the comments there and see what shows up for you guys. Please feel free to continue to share in there. All right, so let's talk about daily habits. Let me start off here. In a book that's called Take the Stairs by a gentleman named Rory Vaden, he has a line that really stuck with me. And this is just kind of, I don't know why it stuck with me for sure, but it just kind of jolted me. It startled me a little bit. And so I think that's why it stuck with me. But then as I started thinking about it, it really then stuck with me because, wow, he's right. So here's what he said. Before I get to that though, so hold the Rory Vaden quote, because I wanted to share this from Jerry. I know I've listened to them all, but not remembering what each is called. I think I need to join you guys tomorrow. We'd love to have you join us tomorrow, Jerry, at the Unlocking Your Potential. Yeah, get that stuff out of the way. And, so just keep at it, Jerry. You're doing a great job. Love all the things that you're doing. I know you're getting outside of your comfort zone too. And doing all this stuff. So excellent. All right. So back to Rory. Take the Stairs is the book. Rory Vaden is the author. He said, success is not owned, but instead rented. And the rent is due every day. So one more time for you guys. Success is not owned, but instead rented. And the rent is due every day. So like I said, that startled me a little bit. So oof, that sounds like a lot. But when you think about it, it's really true, right? We didn't get, let's say, for example, I feel like I'm a little bit out of shape right now. I need to drop, I think I'm down to needing to drop out 30 pounds. So I didn't get to this place of being out of shape. All right. I didn't get to, maybe you're overwhelmed. Maybe, you're out of money. None of that stuff just happened overnight. Sometimes it might feel like that, but in reality, if you look at it, all of these things, situations that we're in right now are a result of the choices that we made a long time ago. And it just compounded, right? It was a series of small bad choices that we made over time. It was either the actions or a lot of times the inactions, the things we just let happen to us that we did or took in the past that got us to where we are today. But that is actually great news. Two amazing things come from that fact that these are things about the past, right? The great thing that comes from this is it's in the past and we survived it, right? And so today is a brand new day. Every day is a brand new day. So if the rent's due every day, okay, but it's also every day is a brand new day that we get to start from. So that's A. The second great thing that comes from the fact that these things happened in the past is those things were opportunities to learn, opportunities to grow, and opportunities to get better, and then determine if you can make a different choice today. Just determine if you can make a different choice today. You might not be able to, but if we believe in the fact that we are 100% responsible for our success, which that is the core number one fundamental, empower yourself, right? So being 100% responsible, the E plus R equals O that I talked about, being in control of our responses, empowering ourselves, we can determine if we can make a better choice today. So in another book that talks about these types of things, it's a book called The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. He talks about daily habits kind of being like compound interest. Now, I'm hoping most of you are familiar with compound interest because it's actually very key to long-term investment success and just long-term success. If we can have our money work for us, that really goes a long way. And that's what compound interest is all about. So, but what it is it's the process of money building on itself without any additional investment. So I'm just going to use some numbers that make math really easy for me, so I don't have to do some crazy math here. But let's say that you're making 10% interest and you invested $1,000 originally, and you're making that 10% interest annually. So every year you make 10% on that $1,000. Well, that doesn't mean that you're just going to get, excuse me, that you're just going to get $10 every year, right? It means that it's going to compound on itself. So if you put in that $1,000 up front and you didn't do anything more than just making the good decision not to touch it for 10 years, at the end of that 10 years, you would have $2,593.74. Now, you made over $1,500 just because of compound interest. Right. So you didn't do anything more than just made the good decision every day to not touch it, leave it be, and wait for it to grow on itself. The same thing goes for our habits. I didn't, eat myself yesterday to these 30 extra pounds that I'm carrying around. Right. It was the sodas, the sugars, the huge, large seconds, plates of food, lack of veggies in my diet, lack of exercise, the added stress over the course of many years, all of those things over the course of a very large amount of time has equaled the extra 30 pounds that I have. But the same can hold true about going the other way. Right. So I've started making sure that I'm doing yoga 4 times a week, and that's really getting me moving and loosening me up. And I feel more energetic so I can move more. I've made the commitment to not drink soda anymore, and I do pretty darn good with that. I've made the commitment to not putting sugar in my coffee, which for me equals not drinking coffee because I can't drink coffee without sugar in it. So if I do actually drink coffee, I put in a sweetener called Swerve. But for the most part, I've cut out coffee. So I've got tea in here. So I could cut out those sugars. I've made a commitment to try to play volleyball at least 3 times a month, if not more, as often as I can, to get that exercise going for myself. And the more I work on those habits, the more I build those habits and the closer I am to getting to my ideal weight. Right. And so that's how it works for weight. But, I'm not going to just starve myself and not eat and then make sure that I'm exercising 24/7. If I made that decision, do that today, because that won't be sustainable. I can't do it. It's just physically not possible. If I was exercising 24 hours a day with no intake of food, and I was just starving myself, I would not survive. If I could do that and will myself to do that, I would not survive. Right. So I have to build one good habit onto another. I have to use this idea of compound interest. Now, that's just was an easy way for me to kind of give you an example when it comes to weight. We're here on Small Business Saturdays. So what does this look like for a business? Well, the great part is it's the same. Your business is where it is at because of the actions or inactions you have taken to this point. So the successes you have and the challenges that you face are all based on things that you've done in the past, based on actions where you're at, right? And maybe for some of you, it's just the fact that you haven't started, right? And so you're still here because you haven't started, you haven't taken that action, you haven't got moving forward, right? And this is not a way, like if we say, oh gosh, well, I didn't do that in the past, I should just beat myself up and right. This is not about that. Has zero to do with that fact. In fact, if you look at this in the right perspective, this is super empowering because you can start taking actions anytime you want and start moving in the right direction. And that's all that it takes, but the sooner we get beyond the pity parties, the blaming, the complaining, and all the excuse making, the faster you're going to get to your idea of success. All that time wasted commiserating and worrying about the past or things out of your control is just that. It's just wasted time where you could instead be developing daily habits, or I like to call them margins, right? And that will get you where you deserve to be when you get all of those limiting beliefs out of the way. So let me talk about why I call them margins here real quick. So I decided to start calling these daily habits that I'm trying to build in my life, I started calling them margins. And I get it, right? Where maybe some people go, oh, you're just splitting hairs, but here's the reality. Language matters. The things that you say to yourself, the way that you talk, the language that comes out, that is a translation from your subconscious. And then the language that you hear yourself speak and whatnot, it's also a translation back into your subconscious. So that's why when we talked about conquering our fear, we needed to change the language. We need to say, I I scare myself by imagining. So once I start changing that language, my subconscious brain starts to realize, oh yeah, that's just a fantasized experience appearing real. So the same thing goes with these margins. It's about the language. To me, margins, equate most quickly to profit margins. And profit margins to me are what lead to success. The bigger our profit margin, the more we have, and even margins outside of monetary, like the margin of time between projects we don't like, and the margin of time between the projects that we love, right? The more that margin skews towards the things we love, that's the closer we are to his success. Increased margins of like the margins of customers, like the more customers that we have that are the ones that we love to work with versus those life draining complainers, that's a success. So every time we increase margins, we are increasing success. But a habit to me can be good or bad, right? It's a habit that I eat sugary treats whenever I see them. I've built that habit since I was a kid. It's a habit that I can get caught in doing busy work instead of prioritizing the important projects, right? It's a habit to be fixated on the news cycle or getting stuck in your Facebook feed. Those are just habits. But it's also a habit to eat clean, healthy food. It's a habit to have a power hour every morning to work on your most important projects. It's a habit to focus on what you can control and your response to that. That's also a habit. So to me, habits can go both ways. So I choose to call them margins as what I wanted to add to the fundamentals of my success. So we're going to change the language here a little bit. We're going to call it a habit. Now, how does this work? We've covered kind of the idea here, but I want to show you how this works in reality. So I'm going to move a couple of things from my desk so I can bring something over here. But while I'm doing that, I'd love for you guys to get in there, and I want to say hello. Ree said I haven't been able to catch any. Need to go back and watch them all. Excellent, Ree. We're excited to hear what your take on that is. And good morning, Mo. I'm going to have to watch the replay. Awesome. Well, we're here, Mo, and we went through the recap of what the 12 previous ones are. We're talking about daily habits here today. So here's what I want from you guys. Again, if I can ask you of your time, one more time here. If you're tuned in live, help me out here and share with me what your number one goal is for this year. If you've set a goal, I want to hear it. What is the number one goal for you? And as I mentioned, I was going to get my book here, my Empowered Life book, because this is where I build my fundamentals, right? So, let's take a look at this here. Well, you guys are sharing what your number one goal is for this year, and here, one more quick note on that. Please share whatever it is. It doesn't matter. All goals are good goals, and so don't feel like you can't share because maybe my goal is not big enough. Maybe people are going to think. That's their problem, not yours. You need to figure out how to achieve that goal. And so if you don't share it, you're not going to be able to get any help being able to get there, right? And so you got to share these things. So I want to know what your number one goal is for this year. All right. So for me, my number one goal is to complete my book, The Fundamentals of Business Success, where we're going to talk about this and more. So by completing this, I believe that it's going to give me a better framework to share the mission of our success group. It will help me really kind of clarify my beliefs about success. And I believe it's also going to help me attract the people and resources needed to take OSG to the next level. So that's the why for it being the number one goal. So I've got a goal, and I needed to figure out how that aligned with my purpose and deciding what I desired. So the why for me is those things. It's going to give me a better framework. It's going to help me clarify my beliefs, and it's going to help me attract the people and resources needed to take OSG to the next level so we can continue to provide amazing services and support for all these wonderful, deserving members that we have inside of our success group. So we talked about in week 4, reigniting self-trust. And Ree, thank you so much for jumping in here. I'll pop that up there. Number one goal is to get organized. And I'm not effective in my business because I'm all over the place and nothing is organized. All right. So Ree, while I'm talking here too, take that last little bit there and totally agree and understand. Flip that around. So why would being why would being organized make you more effective, right? So let's get to the positive side of that. I totally am with you. Let's just take that one more step because it'll really help. Trust me on this. I had to do a lot of work on mine to get there. And so once I started figuring out what I did want instead of what I didn't want, right? Nothing is organized. I'm all over the place. That's what I don't want. So what does being organized mean for you? What's that going to do for you? So focus on that. I love that. Yep. And Mo talks about improving my systems in order to improve my business. Mine is to get a little more self-time. Dean, I love it. You guys are amazing, incredible. Those are all fantastic goals. All right. So hang on to that, and you guys keep those coming. We can work through all those if you'd like, and I'm happy to share any thoughts that I have here. But let me go ahead and wrap up with mine really quick, so you guys can see this in its entirety before we get too far away from it here. So back to mine, book, right? And then we talked about in week 4, reigniting self-trust, and then we talked about in week 5, being a goal getter. And so let's see how all this works together here with my example. And then we'll do the same for what you guys are sharing here, if you're good with that. So one of the tools to reignite self-trust was to have an affirmation. And so daily, I read or listen to a recording of my affirmation. And one of them is about my book. And it goes like this: I'm grateful for the 100 or more people who are investing in the book, Fundamentals of Business Success. Right. And I actually have that right here. There's the goal. There's the affirmation. Right. So you can see that that's all present. I carry this notepad with me everywhere. So that's the reigniting self-trust. I have to believe it's possible. And then secondly, when we talk about being a goal getter, the goal has to be clearly set with how, excuse me, how much and by when. We have to make it measurable. So, when we're talking about some of the goals that you guys have shared, think about how you can measure that. What is it? And then by when. So for me, the actual goal here is to publish a complete Fundamentals of Business Success book to encompass all of the OSG ideals and gain 100 buyers. That's the how much. So I'm going to publish it and get 100 buyers by December 31st, 2022 at 1:13 p.m. Central Time. How much and by when? So set that goal with how much and by when. And then that's where we take in this last step here, this daily habit step. When I have that, now we get to that margin, right? So here's the great part. You guys are going to be blown away by how simple this is. Okay. So my goal, 100 buyers, published book. Here's my daily margin for it. And see if I can hold it up at the same time so you guys can see it. 15 minutes of daily book writing scheduled 7 days a week, right? And not only is this written down in my book and in all the places that I have this stuff pasted throughout the house. Yes, sorry, honey, I know. I know I junk up all the walls, but trust me, it's for a reason. Talking to my wife there. So not only have I written that down, but it's actually scheduled into my calendar with a notification that goes off every day. And that's it, right? It's that simple. It's 15 minutes. And then I just try to make it a habit. Now, some days I do more than 15 minutes. Other days I don't get to it, right? It goes off and I'm in the middle of stuff. But I that reminds me, yep, I got to put that into the forefront here. And I just work to make it a habit where I always get to it. Now, some people might be thinking at this point, well, couldn't you just, you're writing a book. Couldn't you just go off for a long week or maybe a few weeks and just park yourself in a secluded location and just hammer out a book? Well, I guess you could do that. I know writers that do that, right? But is that the most realistic thing for me or for someone like myself who's trying to grow a business? I've got a family and I have lots of other interests and projects. So honestly, as I've been working on the book so far this year and really starting it last year, it's really evolved and it's gotten better as I work through it. So having those 15 minutes where, some days where it turns into an hour, a couple hours, depending on what's going on and how into it I get, but I'm able to grow and evolve. And I've set that goal for the end of the year. So I've got this time to be working on it. Right. So it gave me the time to be able to do this 13-week program here on Small Business Saturdays that's really allowed me to help. Really allowed me to, sorry, not help. It really allowed me to explore this a little bit more for myself as I kind of plan out and work on the shows here, and then also as I share it with you, and then also as I get feedback from you all, right? I was able to find some holes, and so the book's going to be much more exciting. It's going to be much more rewarding, and it's going to be much more growth oriented if I just do daily habits that compound on themselves each and every day. But that's the thing. That's what keeps most people from success. We live in this instant gratification world. We get down on ourselves too easily because we all see everybody else having these perfect curated lives, and everything's perfect all the time when I'm on my social media feed, right? But the reality is, that TikTok video took a full day to record a 30-second video because they had to get the timing just right. So they bounced and turned at the right time, right? So that's what we see. That's what our outside vision is. And so then we start going, gosh, what's wrong with me? But the reality is you have all the successes and all the things going on in your life. And we need to get away from that instant gratification, right? And we're constantly bombarded with the latest and greatest thing as well, right? You get all those things where you need to buy the new DTF printer to be successful. You need that fancy marketing funnel to be successful. You need to be on TikTok daily to be successful. The reality is you don't need any of that. What you need is to focus on your zone of greatness. You need to take the steps that are right for you, and you need to live and work on your success daily. You need to pay that rent check every day. Yes, that marketing funnel could help. Yes, TikTok could help the right people. Yes, a new piece of equipment could help. But if you don't have a good foundation, right, none of it helps. You could have the greatest Equid website in the world, Craig, if you're still tuned in here, and I'm sure you will. But if that doesn't build upon a core foundation of what it means to be successful for you, it might be a wasted effort. So that is why I focus so much on these fundamentals, because these are the principles. These are the fundamentals. These are the ideas of thinking and growing rich. That's that book from Napoleon Hill that have been around forever. He was the first one to really publish it into a book in this format. But these kinds of ideals, I'm not bringing you anything new here. I'm bringing you my translation and how I work them into my life here. These are principles that have been used for millennia by the successful people in the world. And so until we at least have a system for implementing some sort of a principle-based success routine, or better yet, even mastering them in your own life or business, all the rest of those shiny objects are really just smaller band-aids for the larger challenges. Now, for me, right, we can take this even further. So I talk about my goal for the book, and that's just 2022 for me. I can then compound off that. I'll know more for sure once I get to that point in my life when I'm working on my goals for 2023. But my guess is my goal for the book is then going to be able to take it to the next level. Maybe I'm going to try to get it on the bestsellers list, and maybe then I'll work on making sure, I know that part of the things that I want to do are to work on building it into a workshop or some masterminds that I can take around, and I'm just going to be able to compound on top of that. So that's the idea. That's what daily habits are all about. It's just building small daily habits that we can build upon. If you have time, I'd highly recommend reading Take the Stairs by Rory Vaden. I'd highly recommend reading Jeff Olson's Slight Edge. Really great books to help you understand these kinds of things. And if you want to take that to the next level. So let's get back into what you guys shared. So this is awesome, Ree. And let me get Jerry's here real quick too. Jerry says, I mentioned before that my goal is to retire from my busy 34-year day job at the end of this year. Okay, so let's take that a step further here in just 1 second, Jerry. Ree took this a step further. Look at you. This is, I just want to go, yeah, and just totally geek out on the fact that you got this. Yeah, this is awesome. So Ree says, first, I need to organize my workspace so I'm not looking for things when I need them. Okay. So I'm going to reorganize my workspace so I can find things when I need them. Right. So that's just that slight change that language. Second, I have to set my daily goals and stick with them. Love it. We're all working on that. So good job. I can't continue to start something and then move to something else without finishing the first project. I use my full-time job as an excuse, and that must stop. No more excuses. Get it done. No more bad habits. I love it. Ree, just amazing. Yes, thank you. So let's do it. Let's do it. So let's work through this here a little bit. Ree, if you don't mind, can I just start with you? We got get organized. We talked about a little bit of a language change, right? So let's get something that you can measure. So work on something like getting organized. So workspace, maybe is something that could be there. Your workspace is so you're not looking for things, so you can find everything that you need quickly. And then, so you've got a couple of goals in here that you set your daily goals and stick with them. So you're going to, do a rule of 5 list and get 4 of 5 done 90% of the time or something like that. Right. So something that you believe that you can do. And maybe you're, for me, if I'm starting off with that, that's probably where I'd start, something that I can believe is possible. Maybe you're I'm guessing you probably are beyond that. And you can just say, yep, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get to it. Right. Because the reality is the full-time job can be tough on us, right? We think that we can kind of just unwind and move on to the next thing. But the reality is that we do need to give ourselves some grace, and we do need to give ourselves some space and ability to do that. And then start making the decisions that will warrant that, right? So if there's somebody asks you to take on more responsibility at the day job, but that doesn't come along with more of what you want and what you believe is success, maybe the decision there is to figure out a way to say no to that in the best way possible, so that you can focus on what success is to you, right? And to have that exit strategy to say, maybe the day job isn't serving me as much. It's great that it pays the bills right now, but is it going to be keeping me in this place of being, Jack Canfield always jokes about a job being just an acronym for just over broke, right? We're just covering the bills, and then we're, giving all of our blood, sweat, and tears to somebody else's dream, right? And so I'm not saying that working a day job is a bad thing, right? As long as it's fulfilling and serving what you need it to do for you to feel successful, but make sure that you're making your decisions based on that. So I love all that. So we get that into a goal that you can really have the how much and by when. I think you've really kind of got it pretty much nailed down. So maybe just change the language on that a little bit that works best for you. But then let's talk about what a daily habit might be, or how you can compound with just small daily habits on that. So getting organized, right? So maybe the first thing that you got to do to get organized is just to get a list together of the things to get organized, right? So you got workspace, maybe you've got files on your computer, maybe there is, maybe it's also flowing over into the personal life, and maybe the closet needs a little help, or whatever yep. So Reese says not fulfilling, just paying the bills. Absolutely. So, and again, nothing wrong with that. We got to pay the bills. It's part of our everyday lives, and that's a requirement. But what's your future look like? How do you think through that as the wheel turns, so to speak? Okay, so back to that. So so maybe the first step, the first daily habit to get into is I'm going to first thing I'm going to tackle is just getting my ideas organized about what I need to do first. Okay, so that may be the first step, and so that becomes your daily habit. And you're going to say, I'm going to set a timeline for that goal. I'm going to get organized of what I'm going to get organized, and I'm going to have that done by next week. And so every day I'm going to work on that for the next week, for the next 7 days, or maybe it's a month, right? The timing is yours and yours alone, and only you know what's right. And don't try to set this up as to what other people think you should do. If you're sitting there going, well, Aaron would want me to do more, right? Okay, do what you believe is the best thing for you, right? If it takes you a year to put that list together, then that's what's right for you. But when you start complaining about where you're at, that's your sign to say, you know what, I can do more, right? So it has nothing to do with what I think. It has nothing to do with what anybody else thinks, even the people that are closest to you, right? So even if my wife thought that I needed to do something differently, if I deep down knew that that was right for me, then I would keep going with it. And it would be my responsibility to help explain to her why I believe this was important and for us to have that discussion. Right. And then it's on my responsibility to go, well, if she doesn't get me, then what's going on? The reality is that they get you, right? They just care. They're just trying to help and support. And so, but we think that we have to worry about what they think, right? But the reality is they're just trying to help us. So if we're able to, with confidence, say, this is what I need to do, this is how I need to do it, they might give you some feedback that might help you change your mind a little bit, change your perspective. But anyhow, I'll go way deep into that. We don't need to go too much further. I think I've killed that one. So what it is that you need to do. So set that up. And then, okay, so I'm going to do that for the next 7 days. I'm just going with what I know here. And then, so, okay. And then maybe I'm going to spend 2 days and, 15 minutes a day figuring out of that list, what the number one priority is. And then I'm going to pick out that number one priority, and maybe it became the workspace, the space where you make the products that you make. Right. And so you take a look at that, you look at all the things, you kind of quickly in your head, get a plan together of what's it going to take. Okay. So if I spend 15 minutes a day for the next month, it could be an hour a day, whatever time you have available to you that you can commit to this. I like using 15 minutes for myself personally, because I know the reality is once I actually get into it and I get moving, I figure out a way to carve out more than 15 minutes. But if I do 15 minutes and I just can't get into it, then I've really only quote unquote wasted 15 minutes trying to get started. So that's the reason that you'll hear me say 15 minutes a lot. Again, whatever works for you is the right thing to do. So 15 minutes a day, then organizing, right? And going, okay, first thing I got to do is get all the tools in a place. And then I need to get a system. Maybe I need to have a SOP, a standard operating procedure for how these things are done. And that'll help me organize things in a better manner, right? The little daily habits can change and evolve as you go. But basically, if you build them based on your goal sets, then so hopefully that helps. Hopefully that gives you the daily habits. Rhea, if you have any questions, you have any thoughts, you have any feedback, any things that didn't make sense, please let me know. But get those things that you want to do turned into actual goals with how much and by when, and then you can break them down into smaller milestones. They're still how much and by when. They're just mini goals, really, right? So, and then the other thing that I didn't talk about for you there, Rhea, is just to also, as hokey as this might sound, and wherever you're at, that's totally fine. Where I'm at is I need to also tell myself I am organized and I am whatever it is that I'm trying to do, right? So I'm organized. Let's see what else was in here. I'm organized and I get my daily list done. If you can, I'm organized and I'm getting my daily list done. So put that action word in there, getting, so you take action, but say that to yourself twice a day. When you wake up, before you go to bed, post it places where you can see it all the time. And that also then start changing things internally, and you start doing things that make you more organized, right? I put the thing away. I don't just use it and leave it and walk away from it. And then I get this mountain of things that I have to do, because that's not what an organized person does, right? So it's changing. So that's the affirmation part. And then you build a daily habit. So yes, really awesome. I'm glad that it helps. Thanks a lot. All right, let's see what else we've got here. Okay. Jerry. Okay. Sorry. I'm going the wrong way here. Okay. Dean, my goal is to get a little more self-time. All right. All right, Dean. So let's do this. You ready? If you're here, you're ready. All right. So let's first turn that into a goal. What's self-time? Meaning, not I don't need you to tell me what it is for you. I need you to tell yourself what that is for you. So is self-time just complete alone time? What are you doing? What's the activity? Is, or are there multiple activities? Is there, just not being involved in the business? Is it doing something with your family, doing something with your wife, doing something with your pets, whatever it is. So get real clear on what a little more self-time is for you, and then pick a date by which that is going to happen. Like I am going to, so I let me see if I can go back to one of mine that would be similar to that here. Well, I discovered that my relationship with my wife is as great as it is. We always need to be working on it. And fortunately for me, she is very kind and caring and puts up with me. And when I get my blinders on and I don't pay enough attention. But I realized that every time we were getting, because when we started working together and doing this business together, and that was what we did, that became everything. So we'd go out, we'd have a business meeting, we'd go to dinner, we'd have a business meeting, right. And so we determined together that we needed to schedule 2 date nights a month where it's just being out together as a husband and wife, no business talk, none of that. And I think we've done pretty good at that, right? We could be going out with friends, it could be whatever, but it's no work talk. So the same thing could be for you with a little more self-time. We just did 2 date nights a month. Maybe it's, I want to make sure that I take off and have no work related things happening for a total of 16 hours a month, or which is 2 days, 2 work days worth of time. Or maybe one of the things that I want to do is I want to make sure that I have, what was the number, I think it was 13 or 14 days each year that I'm completely unplugged, and that I'm completely off, not necessarily off the grid, but just not focused on work at all or anything like that, just enjoying something. So Christmas and Thanksgiving were easy to put in there, taking a vacation, and then, just finding some days that I can be completely unplugged. So by doing that though, then I had to start thinking about, okay, what are the daily habits that I need to implement? So one of the things that I did was went to the tracking success thing that we talked about last week. And I put on my board, I'm going to write in the date of all the dates that I am unplugged for this year. So I'm planning for it. So I can see, am I getting the 13 days? So when you do that, then you kind of can then go from there. So what's the daily habit? And that's where you have to figure out the next step, which is, okay, so to be able to take 13, 14 days completely unplugged, what needs to happen? For me, I need to be able to automate some more things. I need to be able to work more closely with my VA and the other people around me to where I can feel like I can unplug and do all that and set those expectations, right? So I have to implement those daily habits to get there. So hopefully that gives you something, Dean, there. And if you have any questions about that, let me know. I'm happy to continue to explore that with you. All right, Jerry, you ready? So I got both of your comments there. I got your second comment. So he says, I've mentioned before, my goal is to retire from my busy 34-year day job at the end of this year. Okay. My problem is I restart every day. Every day is day one. How do I get to day 2? Okay. So 2 things here, Jerry. First thing that I would do is, let's go back to this first comment here. I have mentioned before that my goal is to retire from my busy 34-year day job at the end of this year. Let's get more clarity on what that means. Because if you're retiring at the end of this year, then there's really not a lot of action for you to take, right? You're just going to not go to that job at the end of this year. So what needs to happen for you to feel like that is the right thing, right? What needs to happen to make sure that you don't go to that job starting next year? And I believe, knowing what I know about you, I believe that is to feel like your business is heading in the right direction. Right. But then you have to get clear on what that means. So one of the things that we've got to do with our goals, and I learned this, in fact, I've been talking about this over on Volley a little bit. I was stuck there for a second because all right, let me go back. I'll tell the bigger story here as quickly as I can. So I've got this big whiteboard behind me now in my new office, and I was going to get it all covered with my goals and the scoreboard. And I was all excited about it. And I get over there and I had it on my to-do list, and I could never get it off my to-do list. Well, one of my mastermind community members in the mastermind that I do for myself had mentioned to me, Lorraine said, hey, Aaron, I noticed that your, adding goals to your whiteboard wall has been on your daily 5 for like a week and a half now, and you haven't been able to get it done. Is there something else that you're not realizing? And when she said that, I said, oh, you're right. Because I was worried that my goals were not the right goals for me. I wasn't sure if I was doing the right things anymore. I was having some doubts about things. So then I started doing the things that I've got here in these fundamentals. I'm like, I got all the tools. Let's go to work on it, right? So I did the meditation that we're going to do tomorrow at Unlocking Your Potential, and I determined what the story was that I was telling myself, and I started figuring out ways to rewrite that story and how that's made me who I am today and how it's a positive and all that kind of fun stuff. And then I started looking at the goals. And when you have a goal, especially your main goals, one good thing to do is to sit and ask why, and keep doing that at least 5 times. So, Jerry, with yours here, my goal is to retire from my busy 34-year day job at the end of this year. Well, why do you want to do that? Okay. Well, I want to whatever. And then, okay, when you get to that, whatever that is, okay, so why do you want to do that? And just keep asking why until you get really into the root of it. Because when you get all the way into the root of why you have these goals, then you can really set goals that will actually move the needle for you, that'll move you from day 1 to day 2. So that's the first thing, is you have to get into really why you want to retire from your busy day job. Because here's the reality that I know about you, Jerry. I believe you actually enjoy your day job, right? I mean, I know there can be some challenges, but I've heard you talk glowingly about the company that you work for, which is a good thing, right? So, maybe there's something there that you need to explore and understand what, do you feel like maybe you're leaving somebody hanging or, whatever, right? So maybe one of the goals is to make sure that you have a good replacement in place by the end of the year. Or, maybe it is that other side where you really want to feel confident about your business. And so you need to figure out what that means to you exactly. What does your business need to be doing by the start of next year for you to feel confident in retiring from your day job? Maybe it's the fact that you need to make sure that business is bringing in the income that you've been bringing in from your business, right? So take a look at what your retirement income would be, how much the business needs to contribute, and then how do you build to that point, right? So that's the first part of it, Jerry, is just really get that goal really clear. And then when we get into the daily habits, then you can start figuring out based on what the real goals are. Because to say my goal is to retire from my busy 34-year day job, there's not a lot of actions that you need to take with that, because I don't believe that that's really the ultimate goal. I think the ultimate goal probably has something more to do with either your business or either what you're leaving behind or something like that. So get into that part. And then once you get into that part, then we can start building what the daily habit would be. So let's say it is to make sure that your business is, filling in the income that you'll not have, that, the difference between your retirement income and what you were making at the day job. And so, okay, so now I know what my income goal is. I need to make X amount of dollars. I don't know. I'm just going to throw a random number out there. I need to make an extra $500 a month from my business that I'm not making right now. Okay. So now I can start figuring it out. Okay. So if I need to make an extra $500 a day, or I'm sorry, a month, then what do I need to do that? Do I need to increase the business for my current customers? Do I need to gain new customers? Do I need to add a new product line? Then we can start figuring out all of the potential things that we could do. And then that becomes your daily habit, right? So if I need to get more business from my current customers, then my daily habit could be make sure that I call 5 customers a day. Just call them. I'm calling 5 customers a day. Make sure I connect. Make sure I email 20 customers a day. Make sure whatever, right? And so those daily habits, again, they don't have to be massive. They could be, if it is just a sales thing, maybe it is, I've got to call 10, I've got to call 20, I've got to call 50 customers a day. And so people look at that and they go, gosh, I don't know if I could call 100 customers a day. Well, if somebody told you they would give you $100 million to call 100 customers a day, you'd figure it out, right? So if somebody told you that you would get $500 extra a month by calling 5 customers a day, you'll figure it out. Right. And so that's the change that you need to make, is realize that these daily habits are what's going to get you there, as long as you keep at it and are persistent with it. So hopefully that helps, Jerry. When we talk about, again, I restart every day, day 1. I do truly believe, from my perspective and my vantage point, what I'm seeing, Jerry, is that you got to get real clear on what the goal actually is, what it really means. It's one thing to retire, but what does that mean, right? I love the fact I'm looking forward to retiring, and then I'm not the type that's probably ever going to not do anything. So, like I was talking to the folks over at Edward Jones, who helped me with my retirement funds, and they were talking about, well, you're going to have this deficiency at this time, and I said to her, I said, well, here's the deal. I don't think I'm kind of like your typical what you guys plug into your system here, because I don't plan on retiring necessarily. I just want to do something that I love, and I want my money to work for me. So you guys have to change your little system here, or I need to take my money somewhere else. So anyhow, that's one thing to look at. Okay, Jerry. So thank you for sharing this. I do enjoy my day job, but it's turned into a 24-hour-a-day job. We can work all the hours we want. That is it. Wanting to supplement my income with my business income, to be honest. I know that I can do this. It's just difficult to change after so many years. Absolutely. And Jerry, I think you've just summarized perfectly what we're talking about here today. It's something that's built up over 34 years for you, this habit of going to work and this habit of taking on all the hours when there are hours available, right? And this habit of all that stuff. And so the change of it is to take and figure out what the new habit's going to be, right? And that's where the thing tomorrow really does help, because it helps us find out where those stories came from, so we can start rewriting those stories in the correct way. But then when you start looking at what the goal is, so I'm wanting to supplement my income with my business income. So Jerry, the next thing for you is you've got to put a number on that. You've got to figure out what that means specifically. And then once you figure out what that means specifically, right? So you said the same thing. I also never plan on doing nothing in retirement. So let's figure out what retirement means for you, right? And so how much more income? You've already got your business, so that's not a question. Maybe it's not doing what you want it to do right now. So you have to figure out what it is that you want it to do, and what that supplement means. Then once you figure that out, then you can start setting the right goals that will then become the daily habits that you can work on. So it's just a process. And I know it's not easy, but it's simple, right? I mean, I think that's the big challenge. The reality of all these things that we're talking about are very simple in action, but they're very difficult to do because they're very uncomfortable. They push us to think. They push us to deal with things internally. They push us to do things outside of our comfort zone. And so they're difficult to do, but the actions are actually very simple. It's a simple matter of sitting down and taking some time to really figure out what that goal is for you, and then taking and converting that into what the daily action is. And the challenge with that is we don't know if the daily actions are going to work. We have to, that's where we come back to the feedback and the tracking your success and surrounding yourself with other successful people that are going to give you feedback and great ideas to continue to grow and do better. So we're going to do these daily habits and see how they progress. And then we have to kind of adjust them. So every quarter, I take a look at my goals. I take a look at my daily habits and go, okay, am I getting there? Are the things that I'm doing daily? I have to have that really honest, uncomfortable conversation with myself each quarter that says to me, okay, here are the habits. A, did you actually do it? And if not, why? And then keep asking why until I really find out why. And then B, if I did do it, did it get me towards where I want to go? Am I heading in the right direction? If so, keep doing it. Can I do more? If not, what do I need to change? Let's try something new, right? So that's the way my process works. That's the way these whole fundamentals work for me, is just that constant feedback loop, that constant building of momentum by taking action, trying something, being persistent with it as long as I can, but being honest with myself about what's working and what's not working. And again, getting into it, right? We talked about getting it done, just stop letting the excuses get a hold of you. And we're all there, right? I still let the excuses get a hold of me, and I'm sitting here talking about this stuff all the time. It's a process. It's a daily habit to remind myself to go, oh, wait, I'm just making an excuse. I need to take responsibility, right? And so just building on that and then compounding on that. And the great part is and I'm living proof of this, that I started this journey of really being focused on this stuff uh, in earnest in November of 2019, right? I was tinkering with it before then. So November 2019, we're in April 2022, not that long in the overall scheme of things. And where I'm at right now compared to where I was in November 2019, oh my God, amazingly different, right? Physically, emotionally, personally, fulfillment wise, all that other stuff. Other things are still being worked on, right? It's a work in progress. I've got lots of areas to work on, and that's okay. That's part of the journey, and I'm loving that part. Before, I was very successful in one area, and it was, I'll be honest with you guys, it was financially. I was doing very well financially. Everything else in my life was probably at the bottom. I was super unhealthy. It's where my high blood pressure came from, all this other stuff going on. And I was not fulfilled. I was not happy. And so now I've changed, I've flipped, right? Everything else is where I need it to be. And I know that I'm heading in the right direction. So, don't beat yourself up because, day one didn't lead to day two immediately, right? And day one doesn't necessarily lead to day two. You may be doing day one again, right? We may need to go, yep, okay, that didn't really work out for me. I'm back to quote unquote what I think is day one. But the reality is every time you take action, no matter if you feel like you're in the same spot, you're not, because you took action. That action gave you information that you did not have before. So now, even if you feel like you're in day one, you're actually further ahead. So you've got more information, right? It's kind of like going back to, I probably told this story before, but Jack Canfield tells a story about, like, if you were to ask somebody out to dinner, you're a single person and you were trying to get a date with somebody, and you were to ask them out to dinner, right? We all get scared. Oh, they're going to say no, I'm going to look silly and all this, and then maybe we don't. But the reality is, until you ask, it's always going to be no. And so once you ask, now you're actually better off. You're further ahead, because even if they say no, you're not anywhere further back than where you were before, because before you didn't have a date with them. So now you're actually ahead because you know that that's not the right person for you. And maybe you would have gotten some other feedback. No, I'm not interested. You need to go clean up your life or whatever, or just no. And you come to discover that in that 5-minute conversation of asking them for a date, that they just aren't the type of person that you actually want to spend time with, right? So you have that information. The same thing goes with what we're working on. Okay, so I'm doing this, and even if I still feel stuck, I have the information that either A, that's not working, B, that's not the right thing for me, or C, I need to do more of it. But you have to get in there, get into that uncomfortable place of being honest with yourself and asking yourself why until you get to the core of it. So, all right, you guys, we're at an hour and 15 minutes, and I don't want to take up all of your Saturday. So hopefully, Ree said this is good. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here, Ree. Jerry, I hope it helped you as well. I hope to see you tomorrow at Unlocking Your Success. Anybody that wants to join, again, check that out over at, and where are you on here? There we go. oursuccessgroup.com/unlock. And yeah, anything else that comes up, anything else that's, you guys know where to find me. One of the best places to find me now, and where I'm trying to spend most of my time. In fact, I've kind of gotten off of Facebook Messenger, so I don't really check it as often as I used to. So if you want to reach me, the best way to do it is over on Volley, osg.link/Volley. And happy to answer any questions. You want to get into specifics, you want to talk about your goal and go back and forth with, my suggestions for how you can set that goal. Let's do it. Right? I'm totally down for that. You can reach out to me directly so that'll get you into our community, and then you can find me directly. So that's what I've got for you guys today. Let's see what other comments we got to close this up. Volley. Yes, lots of volley. And you're very welcome. I'm so glad that you're learning a lot, and we are so excited to have you as part of this community. Mo, we need you over on Volley. We need your awesome energy and interaction. So yeah, give it a shot. Give it a try. It's new. It's scary, but it's also a ton of fun. It's not really that scary, but it can be if you let it. So just choose not to. All right, you guys, love it so much. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. And I've not figured out what we're going to talk about next week. So if there's anything that you guys want to talk about, please let me know. I've got plenty of things that I can come up with, but I haven't set one thing yet. So I will leave it open. I will give you guys a couple days to reach out to me on Volley or whatever, and tell me what you want me to talk about next week. But if I don't hear anything from you guys by Tuesday, I will pick something, and we will be back next Saturday with some more amazing Small Business Saturday. So you guys have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your weekend, and we will talk to you very soon.